Welcome back. Alright, let's talk about the curves adjustment layer. Let's go ahead and click on the icon to bring up the box. And we'll notice that we have a histogram, just very much like what we saw in Adobe Camera Raw. The histogram is displayed here with this diagonal line. Again, if we make a move, if we move the curve above the diagonal line, we're lightening the area underneath that curve. If we're pulling it down below the diagonal line, we're darkening the area, the pixels that lie underneath that curve. So just like with the levels adjustment layer, we have these drop-down choices. We can choose color negative, which is kind of cool to look at. We can choose cross-processing. Not even sure what that means. We can choose negative, a little different. We can choose contrast, various contrast options. Notice what's happening here is our curve is changing. We're seeing some broad changes in our curve. We choose these various options. Again, we can reset that by clicking down here on the reset button. We also have the ability to click an auto choice. We'll click that, and actually, again, with this image, it works pretty darn well. The auto one does a real nice job. We can reset that. There we go, reset that. We can change how many square blocks and the size of them by Alt and then clicking in the image. I usually like the smaller squares for some weird reason, but it doesn't really matter. We have these eyedropper tools, just like we saw in levels. Let's go ahead and click on one. The top one will be sample an image to set the black point, and it will work the exact same way. Come over the dark area. Actually, I'm really happy with the way this looks again, so I probably wouldn't do anything, but we could make whatever we want to be the dark area. Perhaps we would click that, and now everything from there, from that tonality back, is dark. Of course, that looks pretty ridiculous. We can select the gray point. Somewhere over here, we found a gray point earlier. Helps correct the white balance. Or we could use this to set the white point. And then again, holding the Alt key down allows us to dive in. If we right click on the image, we can change the way it samples. So let's reset that. We can grab these points up here, just move them entirely. Again, affects where the white and black points are. Now this is new. We can come down here, click on the pencil tool, and then draw in some particular curve that we may want to see going on. Maybe lightening the highlights a little bit. That looks a little bit crazy. What can we do to fix that? This next little box down here smooths the curve values, takes away the shakiness of the hand. And then if we click this little box above it, we can put edit points so we can modify that curve. So we'll click on it. Now we've locked in the straight line down to here, which is kind of nice. We can click on these points to modify it in whatever fashion we'd like. Perhaps we want to make this a little less dramatic. Just a real small lightening of the highlights. So in some images, we might always want to lighten our highlights a little bit, so we can create a way to do that. Oh, something like this. Oh, maybe pull that about like that. Let's toggle that eyeball on and off. Maybe that's a look that we want to often apply, where we lighten our highlights just a little bit. Maybe we want to have that move back to our midtones a little bit more. We can grab these points, click on them, and pull them off the line. Sometimes you just have to pull a little bit, sometimes you have to pull them way out to the edge before they'll pop off. So now this is a little more broadly applied. It's affecting more of the light tones and midtones. Let's say we like this and we're thinking that we might want to apply this particular curve that we've created to multiple images in the future, or to additional images in the future. We can save it by clicking up in this area here, this little drop down arrow with this paragraph symbol next to it, I suppose. We can come down here to save the curve presets, and we can type our name in here, maybe lighten, mids, and highs, and click Save. And now, if we clear this, let's just clear that. We can come back into here and load. Now we can choose which one we want to load. We could have a numerous number of various curves in here. Or we can choose to load it. Let's clear it. That was one way to load it. We can clear that. Okay, so we've cleared it out. Now if we want to go back in here, we can select that particular curve from this drop-down box choice here, and now we've loaded it in. Real easy way to save various curves and use them in the future if you want to. You'll notice I don't really have many. I usually adjust my images on an individual basis. If we want to clear those out, because again, maybe we're tidy freaks, we can go back into, well, we can delete curve presets. Yep. Or we could have gone in and individually deleted specific ones by coming into here and selecting on them and deleting them, right-clicking and deleting them. So let's clear this. This little hand is a new icon, new ability here in CS4 that is really quite helpful. Let's say there's a particular tonality that I want to just, I view it in my image here, and again, this is what's great about it. I can view it in my image and say I want to select that particular tonality, maybe right here, and make this just a little brighter. Well, if I click this little hand tool up here, I can come down, sample it by clicking, hold the button down, and if I push forward, I'm lightening that particular tonality. Let's take a look at the curve over here. I sampled, I chose that particular point, and I pushed it forward, pushed the curve up, and lightened everything. Let's throw that away. Notice it's still depressed, so as I come out here, as I'm wiggling around out here, we see an outlined box moving up and down the line. Oops, hold on a second, I actually clicked and did that. So as I'm moving around, so if I decide that I want to work with the brightest areas, I can come down here to the bright areas and notice over on my line I'm up pretty high to the right. Click, I can push forward to lighten it, or I can pull back to darken. Really handy way to quickly isolate a particular tonality and adjust it. I can move one tonality one direction, come out, maybe take my midtones, select it, and pull back. So I can actually work my curves really fast and simple in that way. Again, if I don't like one of these points, I can click on it, drag and pull it off. Real easy way to make curve adjustments. So now we've run around this entire Curves tab, shown you how to work the various components on it. We'll see you next time.